Hello, lovely people. On to the second step of the Fandango, and I'm delighted to say that I've been very kindly given some recordings of Fandango music by Ben Farmer from Lancaster. He's recorded a beautifully played Fandango, and then he also played it slowly for practice, so we have some new music to experiment with. I'm going to show you several variants of the way I learned the second step, and you can then try them all and pick out what you like about them. Okay, so here we go. So the first version of this step that I'm going to show you goes like this. So say you're standing on one leg, the free leg is in front, and you touch the ball of that foot and lift it up as though the ground was hot underneath the ball of your foot. So it's touch, lift, and put it behind the standing leg. And then you drop onto that back leg as the beginning of a 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Touch, lift, 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 1, 2, 3. Now, you will notice that if you do this flat-footed the way I am now, I'm not really springing, touch, lift, and you put your foot behind, 2, 3, touch, you will gradually move backwards. So that's okay while you're just practicing the step and getting the feel of it. But in the long run, like I showed you with the first step, touch, lift, what happens is that as you drop onto the back foot, you actually put it underneath yourself and move the front foot slightly out of the way so that you don't actually go backwards. And if you've done other traditional dances, you might think to yourself, gosh, that looks a bit like a sailor's hornpipe. Yes, it does look a bit like a sailor's hornpipe step. Touch, lift, 1, 2, 3. Touch, lift, 1, 2, 3. And so when you're actually dancing it, it's not done flat-footed, the standing leg becomes springy like this. Touch, lift, 1, 2, 3, touch, lift, 1, 2, 3, touch, lift, 1, 2, 3, touch, lift, 1, 2, 3. And you can see that the foot that I drop onto with the 1, 2, 3 comes underneath me, and my other foot shuffles forward to accommodate that, so that I can do that without actually gradually sort of moonwalking backwards away from wherever I'm dancing. As you can see, when you do that touch, lift, 1, 2, 3, touch, lift, 1, 2, 3, as you dance it, you spring off both feet. So the heel of the back foot, although your weight is primarily on the standing leg, on the back leg, at that moment when you do that touch step, you actually touch both feet to the ground, but nevertheless, you are going to lift that front foot off the ground immediately, so you don't really jump onto both feet equally. You're still really standing on the back leg, but as I touch and lift, I'm hopping on the back leg, so there's a hop lift. And depending on how energetic you are, usually that standing leg, the foot does come right off the ground, so it is touch, lift, 1, 2, 3, touch, lift, or touch, hop if you want to call it that. Touch, hop, 1, 2, 3, touch, hop, 1, 2, 3, touch, hop, 1, 2, 3, touch, hop, 1, 2, 3. So practice that a couple of times until you're happy with it. And what I'm going to do now is put the faster music on. And I would invite you to try and get the feel of how you can accent the step to match the accents in the music. You'll notice that Ben doesn't play an introduction in this recording. So if necessary, just wait until you've got the feel of the timing and then join in. was going to show you 3 variants of the step, and the second one is one that actually I never danced, but it was the first way that I ever learned the second step of the Fandango, and it's the 2 parts of that step that we've just been doing in reverse order. So instead of starting with the touch lift and then going behind, it starts with going behind and then doing the touch lift. So it goes behind 2, 3, touch, lift, behind 2, 3, touch, lift, behind 2, 3, touch, lift, behind 2, 3, touch, lift. So you are very welcome to go back and play the slow music and try that instead. It's a completely acceptable version of the step. It's just that it's not one that I actually ever do anymore. And the third slight variant of that second step that I do is not something I ever learned from a teacher. It's just something that developed naturally in the way that I danced. And it is essentially that same touch, lift, behind, touch, lift, behind 2, 3. But I tend to take it out to the side. So first of all, the touch won't be right in front. I'll go sort of touch with my front foot further away, touch, and then I swing the leg behind, and the momentum carries me slightly, either straight to the side, or you can do this on a curve, depending on how much space you have. Touch and behind, touch and behind. So instead of the behind 2, 3 going on the spot like that, it's actually moving from side to side. So you need to expend more energy because you're moving your whole body around on top of your feet. Touch and behind 2, 3, touch and behind 2, 3, touch and behind 2. And I'm up on the balls of my feet pretty much all the time. It's just when I do that touch, my heels tend to bounce down and bounce off the ground. But it is a very springy dance, pretty much all of it. So you can have a lot of fun with that step. You can do it on the spot. You can do it moving from side to side. And you can kind of turn like that. So long as you just keep it going and keep the accents falling where the music tells you to put those strong movements. That one, that one, and then the 1, 2, 3, that one, and 1, 2, 3, that one, and 1, 2, 3. So now we've got 2 variants, very much on the spot, and the one that goes from side to side. Either straight from side to side or more likely on a curve is what I tend to do. So there's another little thing that can happen here. I'm not sure if this really qualifies as a variant as such, but if you kind of go somewhere between the 2 of those things, you might find your feet adapt to where they need to be to, first of all, support you, and second of all, stabilize you. So for example, in that first variant on the spot, you might find that instead of keeping very rigidly your feet sort of very neatly together, that in the 1, 2, 3, the one that's in front might tend to stray slightly out. And I quite like that. So it's kind of, it's still a 1, 2, 3, but instead of it being 1, 2, 3 with your feet really kind of underneath you here, the front one, you put 1, and it goes wherever it's comfortable to be, away from you. And then it'll touch and go behind. So it's going lift 1, 2, 3, touch, 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 lift 1, 2, 3. The 2 of the 1, 2, 3 goes out. So I'm going to put the slow music on and we'll just practice that. Or if you don't want to do that, practice whichever bit you want to practice. So I started off by saying that I was going to show you 3 variants, but actually by now we've done more than that, and I realised that I know all sorts of different little embellishments that you can add. So please ignore the 3 variants at the beginning of the video. So another thing that feels a little different from the other ones we've been doing so far is you can tap twice instead of once at the beginning. So instead of going tap, lift, behind, tap, lift, 1, 2, 3. You can go tap, tap, 1, 2, 3. But if you touch twice, you've obviously got to be quite nippy about then getting that foot behind you. So it would be touch, touch, 1, 2, 3, touch, touch, 1, 2, 3. You're tapping twice with the same foot and then picking that foot up and putting it behind you or underneath you for the second half of the step. So what I then do is I touch out, I touch in front of me, and then I put it behind and jump onto it. Out, in, behind, 2, 3, touch, out, touch, in, behind, 2, 3, touch, out, touch, in, behind, 2, 3. And if you want to embellish it even more, when you take that foot out and in, you can turn the heel out and turn the heel in. Just whatever kind of seems like a funky move to you. So I'll put the slower music on and you can practice doing touch, touch, behind, 2, 3, touch, touch, behind, 2, 3. So we've seen that there's quite a lot of variety to the way you can do this step, and there's probably more that I haven't even discovered or touched on. But I'm going to put the fast music on again and just practice any of those that I fancy doing, and I suggest that you dance along. Bear in mind that in the proper choreography you do this step 7 times and a linking step to turn around, but for now I'm just doing this one over and over again in its different forms. I hope you enjoyed that lovely playing from Ben Farmer, and I'll put a link to the notation for the music at the end.